And we definitely have, if you look at the whole business of lithium-ion today, and I think I've been in it since 1991, so I think I know manufacturing of lithium-ion. If you would look at the entire scope of things, if we believe that we have to vertically integrate the manufacturing to achieve the cost targets that are imposed, the water-based system definitely has the best chance of getting there. Because, you know, and again, I'm a little biased, right? But I think that the business with the NMP is like this. The bigger the factory is, the closer it is Chevron to moving into your backyard. Okay, it's that simple, because, you know, there are people that believe that, you know, really you can use NMP and then you can take the residual of the NMP and you can burn it as a fuel, right? And basically you bring a power station, you put it next, and somehow you arrange to use that. But the ability of purifying the NMP in the system, that's a wish. And pretty much, you know, I could go into a little bit more of the basically the little selling of these water-based slurries and how we do it, but this is not so important. Most of the companies know how to do this. It's just that the focus should be on developing manufacturing systems that are unique to the lithium-ion, and not trying to bring some manufacturing system that we believe would work. I got involved into this business of coating lithium-ion because I was an expert in magnetic media. And let me tell you the difference. Magnetic media, we run the line 24 hours a day, 900 feet a minute, and we rarely have any problems. Some companies run 98% yield in making audio tape. The lithium-ion, you are lucky if you get into the tens of feet per minute, okay? The stuff is horrible to coat. A lot of the batches go into the drain. It's a completely different system. We cannot use the same equipment. And today, you know, we can sit over here and claim who has good, who has bad, and what not. But I think that the approach International Battery took and the chance they gave me to somehow follow this is the proper approach.
You say 10%. I mean, that has enormous implications for deployment in terms of, you know, I mean, in other words, let's say you have 100 units and you're going to be wasting another, you know, a gigantic block of materials or recycling them in order to produce 100. Well, to produce 1,000, then that produces 10 times as much waste material.
But I think that when you vertical integrate, you will I mean, today most of the companies that make the small wound cells operate between 60 and 70% yield. So the yield, the manufacturing yields between 60 and 70%. And then you can get the, you know, most of the other stuff you sell to toys or whatnot, right?
But my point is let's say you need 100,000 times as much as you're doing right now. In other words, to satisfy all the different possible
the waste stream is huge.
Right.
That's an unbelievable waste stream. That's why we cannot use the same part. I mean, you don't have to count the waste stream. You just need to count that you will have hundreds of lines coating that need to be clean, that the piping needs to be emptied when you stop, right? That every time a system has a failure, you will have to clean up the line when the film breaks for whatever reason, okay? And all of this today with NMP is a waste stream. This again, it looks great, right? But we in order to implement the significant increase in lithium ion in this country, the amount of work that needs to go into manufacturing development is significant.
And you're not doing that investment right now because you're just doing what you're doing.
We investing all the money we investing in manufacturing.
I have a question on your water process, your water-based slurry. I know that with the companies that use NMP, the drying process is probably fairly fast. And if I talk to Sankar Das Gupta at Electrovaya, he'll say that he doesn't want to use a known carcinogen, so he uses a dry process, makes lithium cells with a dry process.
Almost dry, yeah.
And so does Maxwell. But the question I have on this is, what's the process time through your drying ovens?
So if
Is it a lot longer than NMP or?
no, if you wanted to believe, if you wanted to hear a little bit about the saga of drying. So the problem with lithium ion and the thickness of the electrode is actually related to the fact that the solvent, the NMP, evaporates too fast. So if you have to shrink the material in evaporation, it evaporates so fast it cracks. So you are limited to the Sony 100 micron thickness that everybody for a long period of time tried to coat thicker to beat that energy density. And then they found out that you cannot go much thicker. It's because you would have to actually cool down the material while in the process. With the water-based, you don't have that problem.
That's a good point. So if we wanted to make a higher energy cell with a thick electrode, then the NMP one's going to have problems.
Yes.
But what about the water?
That's why we call it high energy cells.
Let me just follow up just real quick. So how do you know that you get all the water out? I mean, that's a real problem for a cell, is having any moisture left.
That's probably why we stay in business. So that's part of the somewhat half of the secret. But in the end, here is the thing. In the end, when you take our cell, and I think in some of this, okay, here is the shape of a cell, right? When you take this cell and you put it under the machine to fill, this material is as dry of any of the systems that you build with NMP. So there is no difference. When we introduce the electrolyte on the cell, there is no difference between this material and the material that has NMP. Yes, sir.
So you've been in this business since forever, basically, when it first began, based on your background. Would you say, setting aside that background, that long-term lithium is going to be the way to go, or is it going to turn out to be some other strategy, some, more basic, like lead acid battery or something, maybe not for transportation, but for energy storage generally on the grid?
As a manufacturing guy, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but as a manufacturing guy, we consider this that all the manufacturing guys have a leash and a collar. Okay? And our business is to put the leash on the other guy's collar, right? So if I am given a chance, and look, manufacturing depends on a lot of people, right? It depends on the people that, that sells, on strategic positioning or whatnot, right? But if I have a chance, I want to put my leash on the collar of the lead acid guys because that's where the money is. There is no money in volts. I mean, let's be realistic. The volt says 10,000 cars, right? 10,000 cars a year. That's our little plant. Okay, we have that capability. So from a business perspective, to get capital investment, if that's all we can offer, nobody's going to invest. So from a perspective of a purely manufacturing guy, I don't have a clue about business or nothing like that, all right? But I think that the lithium, if properly structured, within 2 or 3 years, maybe even 5 years, can displace a lot of the lead acid systems. And I don't know how much of the nickel metal hydride we can go, but some of these applications are really tough to compete with lithium, but other applications are kind of simple, right? And then the electrification of some of the current technologies is going to happen, right? Like the airports, the trains, if you look at the amount of energy that is used in a seaport, right, where you definitely can introduce energy storage in such a place and make money out of it. The trains moving around, right? When a train brakes, steps on the brake, we take all the energy and we dump it into a resistor, right? On a resistor bank, right? That kind of application is crying for energy storage. We just cannot make an energy storage that makes any sense. But if we can, we're okay. I'm done.
Thank you for that very interesting presentation.
Thank you.
We now have lunch out on the veranda overlooking the Pacific Ocean. You can walk out where you came in, turn right, go past the coffee stand, make a left outside, and then to your right will be where we'll be having lunch.
University of San Diego.